They called me cold, ambitious, a failure. Then one day, I walked into a courtroom, and the judge said my name, and the whole room fell silent. If you've ever been the black sheep, the underestimated one, this story is for you. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more stories of quiet strength, sweet revenge, and powerful comebacks. Now let me take you inside the moment. They realized I was never the weak one. They never called me a failure. To my face. No. That would have required confrontation, something my family avoids like it's contagious. Instead, they let their silence speak. Unreturned texts, missing invitations, side eyes at reunions I wasn't even invited to in the first place. When I left Alabama for law school in New York, my mother told everyone, Madison's just running from real life. When I worked straight through Christmas, 3 years in a row, pulling policy shifts no one saw, they said I'd lost my roots. And when I didn't wire money for my younger brother's third DUI bail, they called me heartless. But they never asked why. Why I left. Why I stayed away. Why I worked myself into exhaustion, while they judged, from the comfort of distance. I didn't owe them an explanation. I owed myself peace. So I let them talk. Let them call me cold, detached, too ambitious. Because while they talked, I worked. While they watched my brother spiral, I built legislation to help people like him, the ones who couldn't keep themselves out of their own destruction. Then came his trial, just a misdemeanor, sure, but for once, consequences were catching up to the golden boy. I wasn't invited, of course I wasn't, but I showed up anyway. No press, no assistant, no guards, just me. In a navy suit, heels muffled against the courthouse tile. I slipped into the back row, like a shadow. Watched my mother adjust her blazer, watched my brother practice his sad face. They didn't see me, not yet. Because here's the thing, about being the one they erased. You learn how to move unseen, until the moment you decide to be noticed. I didn't come to make a scene. I didn't come to forgive, or interfere, or save. I came to witness, not out of bitterness, but out of something colder, clarity. I needed to see it, with my own eyes, the people who wrote me off, now scrambling to cover their own cracks. And I sat there, quiet, unshaken, hands folded, not as the forgotten daughter, but as Governor Madison Brooks, the ghost they never thought would walk back into the room. The moment my name left the judge's lips, the air in the room snapped tight. "Wait," he said, squinting at the folder like it couldn't possibly be right. "Is this Governor Brooks?" And just like that, silence. Total. Charged. Unforgiving silence. My mother, in her powder blue blazer and pearl earrings, clutched her purse like it might save her from what was coming. My brother's face drained of color, his bravado sinking into the floor. The smirk that had curled on his lawyer's lips vanished. Even the bailiff blinked like he needed a reset. The judge lifted his eyes to find me, and when he did, he stopped. Something in his posture shifted. Authority recognizing authority. I nodded once, calm, cold, controlled. He cleared his throat. "We're taking a recess." No one said a word. They didn't have to. Because the person they'd spent years pretending didn't matter was now the most powerful name in the room. That's what happens when you bury someone too soon. You forget they might grow into something you can't silence. And I didn't need to make an entrance. Didn't need headlines or handshakes. Just a quiet presence, stronger than any raised voice. The reporters hadn't shown up yet, but the rumors would spread before the next gavel hit the wood. Even now I saw the whispers start. The quick glances, the shifting of weight, the internal panic of everyone who realized this hearing wasn't just a hearing anymore. My mother leaned toward my brother, her voice low and venomous. "You didn't tell me she was coming." But it was too late. Because the courtroom wasn't theirs anymore. It was mine. Not because I claimed it, but because the moment I sat down, everyone realized the truth. The woman they called cold had learned how to walk into a room and make it shake, without saying a word. I didn't speak, not a word, not during the recess, not after the judge stood. But everything changed. The silence didn't fade, it expanded. It filled every corner of that courtroom, like smoke after a strike, and they all breathed it in, confused, cautious, suddenly, alert. Because when you spend your life being invisible, the moment you choose to be seen, the whole room tilts. I stood up, just once. That's all it took. The bailiff stiffened. The clerk fumbled with his papers, like he forgot how to hold them. My brother finally looked at me, and this time, he didn't look away. Then came the whispers. From the hallway, soft at first, like someone testing the wind. Is that her? Wait, the governor? What the hell is she doing here? By the time the recess ended, everything had shifted. This wasn't just a routine DUI anymore. It was a story, a headline, a reckoning, and I had said absolutely nothing. I walked the corridor. No cameras. Not yet. But the scent of exposure was already in the air. Not the kind that feeds scandal, but the kind that forces people to recalculate everything they thought they knew. Because I didn't look like a scandal. I looked like control, like discipline, wrapped in power, like a woman who didn't flinch when her name echoed from the judge's lips. No press statement, no posts, not even my assistant, just a tailored navy suit, a spine carved from silence, and memories they thought I'd buried. My presence wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. When you've spent your whole life being talked over, you learn how to let your existence do the talking. And that day, mine, spoke volumes. That night, my phone lit up. Mom, 3 missed calls. Luke, 7 texts. Blocked number, 1 voicemail left. I didn't respond, not because I was angry, but because I was finally free. I didn't owe them anything, not a reaction, not a reply, not even the sound of my voice. Then came the email, from Judge Harlan, the new judge on the case. Your presence in that room changed everything, he wrote. Not because of what you said, but because they finally listened. And I believed him, because I felt it. My silence wasn't empty. It was a mirror, reflecting back everything they tried to ignore. I used to beg to be heard. Now I knew the loudest thing I ever said was nothing at all. And the story they tried to write me out of, I had already rewritten it from start to finish. The next call came from Aunt Judy, the designated family diplomat, always soft-spoken, always trying to make peace. Her voice was syrupy on the phone. Your mama's devastated. Your brother's ashamed. Isn't that enough? No, it wasn't. It had never been enough. Was it enough? When they laughed behind my back for over-preparing? Was it enough? When they threw a party for Luke's 3rd failed real estate venture, while calling me too cold to be celebrated? Was it enough? When Mom looked me in the eye and said I wasn't feminine enough to lead? Now that the cold girl had climbed to the top, they wanted warmth. But I had none left to give, except the kind that came in the form of change, policy, systems, legislation. While they were busy arguing over centerpieces for birthday parties, I was restructuring housing codes for single mothers. While they said I was emotionless, I was rewriting domestic abuse laws for women who couldn't walk away. And no one clapped, not once. They just watched, waiting for me to fail. Now, they couldn't stop watching. But it wasn't admiration. It was caution. It was adjustment. They were recalibrating, trying to understand how the girl they dismissed had become the one with the power to decide who gets a second chance and who doesn't. Their excuses were tired. She's just sensitive. She's always been dramatic. Maybe politics changed her. No, purpose changed me. Service changed me. Silence taught me where to place my energy and where not to. I wasn't bitter, I was focused. And focus is what makes a woman unstoppable. They had explanations. I had impact. They wanted forgiveness, wrapped in softness. I had policy, wrapped in spine. They had excuses, but I had purpose. A week later, Luke showed up at my office. No security stopped him. I had already told them, let him through. Once. He stood there, awkward, holding a manila envelope. "Just wanted to say thank you," he said. "You could have ruined me." I looked him in the eye. "You did that yourself, but I hope you change." He didn't argue. He just handed me the envelope and left. Inside, old photos, us as kids, and one, me, alone, 10 years old, big glasses, a science fair ribbon in hand, no one clapping. But I was smiling anyway. Even back then, I knew how to clap for myself. That night, I framed that photo, placed it next to one from my inauguration, one invisible, one undeniable, both me. The next morning, I declined another call from Mom, then I blocked it. Not from anger, but from boundaries. Because healing isn't about being welcomed back. It's about deciding who still gets access to your peace. They wrote me out of the family, so I wrote myself into history. Not with noise, not with revenge, but with quiet, focused power. And if you're listening to this, wondering what to do when your family underestimates you, remember, you don't need a seat at their table. When the time comes, you build the damn house. Sometimes the people closest to us are the first to underestimate us. They'll label you too much, too little, too different. But here's the truth. You don't need their validation to rise. You need clarity. You need boundaries. And above all, you need the courage to build a life where your peace is no longer up for debate. Madison's story is a reminder. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to fight to belong. You don't have to sit at a table where love comes with conditions. You can build your own house, brick by brick. Silently, intentionally, until one day, they look up and realize, you were never the weak one. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been the black sheep, the underestimated one, subscribe for more stories like this. Like this video if it moved something in you, and share it with someone who needs to hear. You don't need permission to be powerful.